Disclaimer, my tutorials do not teach you how many stitches to do because everyone's stitch gauge is different. Instead, I teach you how to go off based off of your measurements. For this tutorial, you will need yarn of your choice. I recommend a size 4 or lower, a crochet hook, the recommended size for your yarn, measuring tape, scissors, and a sewing needle. To start off, you're going to create a slip knot. So wrap the yarn around 2 fingers and put your hook through the hole and grab and pull. And then you want to tighten it. And then you want to chain 2, so yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. And then you're going to start with the foundation half double crochets. So you yarn over and go into the very first chain that you made. Go through it, yarn over and pull through. You will have 3 loops on your hook. You want to yarn over and go into the very first hook only. And then again, you will end up with 3 loops. Yarn over one more time and go through all 3 loops, and this counts as your first stitch, your first foundation half double crochet stitch. For the second stitch, you yarn over and you go through the bottom of the previous stitch. And when you go through the bottom, you want to make sure you go through both loops that there are at the bottom. You yarn over and pull through the stitch, and then you end up with 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first loop only. You'll end up with 3 loops again. Yarn over, go through all 3 loops. That is your second stitch. Again, go to the bottom of the previous stitch. Yarn over and pull through. You end up with 3 loops on your hook. And then you're going to yarn over again. Pull through the first loop only, end up with 3 again, yarn over and go through all 3. And that is your third stitch. Yarn over, go through the bottom stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, go through the first stitch, first loop only, yarn over again, go through all 3 loops. You're going to continue this until you reach the measurement from the bottom of the breast to the nipple or to the center of the breast, whichever is applicable. So you just continue with your foundation half double crochets until you reach the needed amount of inches or centimeters that you need. So mine is about 3.5, which is 12 foundation half double crochet stitches for me. So once I reach the 3.5 mark, I'm going to continue with the rest of the row. So just crochet until the needed measurement that you need for this section. So at the end of this, I'm just going to do a regular half double crochet into the previous stitch. So yarn over, go through the bottom, yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to go through all 3 loops this time. So yarn over, go through all 3 loops, and then you're going to chain 1 and then flip it like so. So that way you're working at the bottom of the stitches from the previous row. So you're going to flip it and you're going to do half double crochets into the bottom of the stitches. So I'm going to yarn over and go into this stitch, yarn over, and then there's 3 loops, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Into the very same stitch, I'm going to do another half double crochet. So yarn over and go into the same stitch, pull through, yarn over and go through all 3 loops. So that way it is a nice turn, like so. And then into the rest of the stitches, you're going to do 1 half double crochet. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops, yarn over, go through all 3. Yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops, yarn over, go through all 3. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3. You're going to continue with the half double crochets until the rest of the row. And what I like to do, I like to hold this end over here somehow, so that way as I do my half double crochets, I'm weaving this end through the stitches. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can always weave it in later, but this is what I do to save time. And for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to cut this end off now. So this is row 1. So for row 1, you basically crocheted on both ends of the same row. So on this end, you should have the same amount of stitches that you have on this end. So for me, I have 13 stitches on this end, and on this end, I have 13 stitches. And now that I'm done with that, I'm just going to chain 1. And to chain 1, you just yarn over and pull through. And then you turn your work. Normally, this does not count as an extra stitch, but for this, it will. So this turning chain will count as a stitch. So for the next stitch, you yarn over and go through this stitch here. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over and go through. And once again, this row will be filled with half double crochets. So yarn over, go through the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3. Yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3. Yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3. And you will repeat the same thing until you get to this hole at the top.
So yarn over, go through, yarn over, go through, go through.
So once you reach this end, the top, since it will be like this is considered the top. Where the chain 1 from the previous row was, you're going to put 2 half double crochets into here. So yarn over, go through the hole, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and go through all 3, yarn over, go through the hole, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3, and then you're going to chain 1. You're going to turn, and you're going to do another 2 half double crochets into the same hole. So yarn over, go through, yarn over, go through. And this is how the top of each row will be made. So into each and every single hole, you will stitch 2 half double crochets, chain 1, and then do another 2 half double crochets. I'm going to continue with the rest of the row. So yarn over, go into the very next stitch, go through it, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3 loops, yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3 loops, and you're just going to continue with your half double crochets into the rest of the row. So at the end of this row, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, so yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3, and you're just going to continue with half double crochets for the rest of this row until you get to the top. So do make sure that you go through the stitch over here, the first stitch that was apart from the hole at the bottom. Go through there, and then when you reach the hole up here, you're going to put 2 half double crochets in it. So yarn over, go through the hole. You'll have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through the hole, pull through, you'll have 3 loops again, yarn over, go through all 3. So then you chain 1, you turn around, yarn over, put another 2 half double crochets into the same hole, and this is what it will end up looking like. If you ever get confused on how many rows you are doing, just count the holes in the middle and make sure to count the top hole as well, because sometimes it can be clumped together as so, since there are no stitches inside. So 1, 2, 3. This is my 3rd row, and that is how you determine how many rows you are doing in case you ever get confused trying to count. So again, for the rest of this row, you're going to continue with your half double crochets. So yarn over, go through, pull through, yarn over, go through all 3. You're just going to continue with your half double crochets. So at the end of the row, chain 1 and turn your work. And since this is an even row, you will be counting this as a stitch. So yarn over and just start with your half double crochets into each and every single stitch. And then when you get to the top where the hole is, you're going to do 2 half double crochets into the hole. Then you're going to chain 1 and then do another 2 half double crochets into the same hole. And then you're going to continue with your half double crochets into each and every single stitch for the rest of the row. You're just going to continue with the exact same steps as the previous rows until you reach the measurements that you need. So you can either use the measurements of the circumference of the breast or the desired length of the breast cup that you want it to be. So to measure the breast circumference, you just go from one side of the breast to the inner portion of the breast. And then for the desired length, you just go from the bottom of the breast upwards until you get the desired length that you want. Everyone's different. You might want it to be shorter or longer than the measurements. It's up to you, however you want. Of holes that you have here are the amount of rows that you have. So just remember that, so way you're able to count easier. Before I add the last row, I want to make sure that when I stretch it out, it is near the measurement that I need for the width of the breast. And so this is at 6.5, close to 7. So that is how I know I am ready for the last row. So for this, we are going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then we're going to do single crochets instead of half double crochet. So for single crochet, you do not need to yarn over or anything before going into the stitch. Just go straight into the stitch, yarn over, bring it through, and then you have 2 loops in your hook, yarn over and go through, and that is a single crochet. So again, you go through the stitch, you bring the yarn through, you'll have 2 loops, yarn over and go through both of the loops. And so for this third stitch, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna go through the single crochet that I just made. Not this stitch down here, I'm going through the actual single crochet I just made. I'm going through and I'm bringing the yarn through the stitch, and then I'm going straight through the loop from the chains I just made. And that is how we create this little ball up here. And then I'm going to create a single crochet into the exact same stitch that I came in. So in here, I'm going to create another single crochet. This does not count as an increase since this is the last row that we are doing. So into the next stitch, a single crochet. And then another single crochet. And for me, I'm doing every third stitch is where I put the scallop. If you want, you can do every second stitch, every fourth stitch. It's up to you and how you like it. I'm doing every third stitch. So in between these 2 stitches will just be 2 regular single crochets. And then into this third stitch will be the other scallop. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going into the single crochet. And I'm pulling the yarn through. And then I'm creating another single crochet into the same stitch. And then into the next 2 stitches, I'm just going to do regular single crochets. And then to the third stitch, we're going to do the scallop. So single crochet, 3 chains, go back into the single crochet, bring the yarn through, and go through. Then we're going to do another single crochet into the same stitch. And then single crochet into the next 2 stitches. And this is how it should start to look. So again, into this third stitch is where the scallop is going to be. So single crochet and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then go into the single crochet and bring the yarn all the way through, and then do another single crochet into the same stitch. Into the next 2 stitches, you're going to do 2 single crochets, and then into the third you're going to do the scallop. And you're just going to continue until you reach the top. And now that we're at the top, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 chain, and another single crochet. If in this hole is where you were supposed to put another scallop based on your counting or spacing or anything, then I would just skip it because it might interfere with the strap that we're going to put here. So I will just continue to leave it straight. So since the last stitch before this hole was the scallop stitch, I'm going to start this side with the scallop stitch. So that way the distances will remain the same. So single crochet, chain 3, and then enter the single crochet and pull through. And I'm going to tighten it because it's a little loose, and then I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to create another single crochet into here, and then I'm going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and I'm going to do another scallop stitch into the third. So chain 3 and go into the stitch and pull through.
Then you're going to continue with the exact same stitch for the rest of the row.
And to finish off, just cut this part, grab the hook, and pull through the way and tighten it. And that is how you will finish the cup. And this is how it should look like. Double check to make sure that the amount of scallops you have on each end are the same. So mine has 7 on each end. So before you cut this part off, just make sure that the counting on both sides is correct.